Hi, I'm Ruthie Dahle and welcome to my channel and welcome to Makeup Wednesdays. This week I'm taking you along for my everyday makeup routine and what I do and how I do it. And if you want to know how I achieve this makeup look, then keep on watching. So I'm bringing you along today on my everyday makeup, showing you what I do. Now keep in mind that the way I do my makeup is that I like to take my time and do things properly so that my makeup routine does take time, so it's not for everybody. But you can do this as fast as you want, but I do suggest that you keep to the techniques if that is something you want to have for, if this is the look you want to have for your face, because it really does make the makeup stick to your skin and make it last almost all day. The only thing you have to touch up if you have oily skin. I don't think I will keep the eyebrows in this video just because they could be a whole video by themselves. One thing that you will not necessarily see, but you may hear it in the background, and that is every time I do my makeup, even the makeup tutorials that I show you, I always have a paper towel folded neatly in front of me because it's so great to just wipe off any makeup from brushes and squeeze out the sponges that I use. And by the way, the sponges that I use are completely dry, and unless I put product on them, they don't have product on them. I will tell you so if there is. So I start off by using primer, and I have the kind of skin where makeup doesn't like staying on parts of my face because it just, if I put makeup there, it just wipes right off. Nothing will set it unless I use a special kind of primer. So I like a eyeshadow primer that is tacky, so it has that stickiness to it. And the one I will be using today is the NYX Professionals Glitter Primer Brilliance, this one right here. And I will apply this not to my whole face, just parts of it, and I will use this much. And I will apply it underneath my eyes, on my nose, and on my chin. Sometimes on my, I will bring it to my eyelids and on my eyebrows as well. But basically it's the T-zone, that's where I put it, because that's where makeup doesn't stay on for me. So this helps it stay on. The next primer that I will be putting on is the W7's Prime Magic Camera Ready, and it looks like this. And I take about this much. I like to bring the primer down to my neck because I like to bring my makeup down to my neck, and so you want to put primer there too. And then I will be putting on my foundation, and I use the L'Oreal Paris True Match, and I use the shade 2N, which is Neutral Undertone. Technically it's too light for me, but because of the setting powder that I use that has a tint to it and the bronzer that I put on, in the end it all matches the rest of my skin. It is just a little too light, but I don't mind that because in the end it doesn't match. For this I apply with a sponge. Now this does not have, it's not wet, it's dry, and I apply about 3 pumps. So I will be doing 1 pump, dotting that on my face, then I will do another pump, dot that on my face, and I will do a 3rd pump and dot that on my face. And I always use a dabbing motion when I apply my foundation. That is very important. And then you want to go ahead and take another sponge that has no product on it and dab around on your face. Then I will take my concealer, and I'm using the L'Oreal Paris True Match, and this one is even lighter than my foundation, and it's the 1RC Ivory Rose, and I would just apply this to like key points of my face. I don't actually use this for covering up blemishes because you wouldn't want to use a lighter toned concealer for that. Then you would use the same shade as your foundation in your face. Those are the points that I put it on. Sometimes I'll put it on my chin, but if I recently had a breakout there, then I will not. And I have recently had a breakout. It's still healing. It's almost gone, like you can't tell that I had a breakout, but I don't want to highlight this area at the moment. You take the same sponge as the one from the foundation and you dab it in. And then the next step you want to do is take the sponge from before and dab it in. When you're dabbing in with the concealer, you want to avoid the eye area because that is what we're going to do now. I'm putting on setting powder now, and I'm using the MaxFactor's Cream Puff in the shade 05 Translucent. But if you are pale skinned, this is not translucent. This has some tint to it, but this is what it looks like. And what you want to do is take a powder puff and apply with that. So what I like to do is dab first underneath my eyes and then put on some powder, then dab on my eyelids and then put some powder on, and then I put powder on the rest of my face. And then I'm still going to be using setting powder, but I'm going in with a big fluffy brush to get in the outer corners of my face and on my neck. Then you want to go ahead and put on some bronzer. So I'm going to be using the W7's bronzer in Honolulu, this one right here. And I'm taking a big fluffy brush that, like this one, it doesn't have to be angled. I just found that this is big and nice for my face. It doesn't hurt that it's angled either. And for this, I will put bronzer on my cheeks, my forehead, my neck, and then I will go in with a smaller brush, and I will use this small round soft brush to put contour on my nose and put eyeshadow on my eyelids, and also some bronzer on my Cupid's bow because I like that defined. I know that bronzer is not the same as contour for anybody who wants to say there's a difference. I know there's a difference. And the next thing I want to be putting on is blush, and I'm using the Makeup Revolution's Blusher Reloaded Rhubarb and Custard that looks like this. I am taking a big fluffy brush, but it's smaller than the one before. Whenever I'm doing either bronzer or blush, and I should have said this sooner, is that I dab the product on. I always dab. The only time I have been using a brush stroke motion is on my nose and on my eyes. That's the only time I've used brush strokes, and other than that, I just dab the makeup in. Then what I want to do is take the big fluffy brush from before with no product and just dab and blend everything in, because as you can see there's clear color difference all over my face. And so you want to do that for blending in, but when it comes to my nose and eyes, I want to use a smaller brush. So I'm taking a eyeshadow brush that is fluffy and soft to blend these parts in. And for this, I'd like to dab in on my nose, and I like to use brush strokes around my eyes. And it's the same with this big brush. I used dabbing motion, so like dab, 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 to get it in to blend it as well, because that works. It blends that way too. You don't need to brush strokes to blend it. I do suggest brush strokes around your eyes because it's a more gentle area. Now that that part of my face is done, I will do my eyebrows, but I will do my eyebrows off camera, so the next time you see me, it's ready for mascara. Now at this point, I like to take an angled, smaller, medium-sized fluffy brush like this one, and I like to go and brush lightly underneath my eyes. So the first thing I always do is I curl my lashes. And then I am going to be using my Maybelline's the Colossal mascara that looks like this. Oh yes, and I only put mascara on my upper lashes. Now it's on for the highlighter. Now my highlighter, I like to match my highlighter to what I'm wearing. I do the same with my lipstick and I do the same with my blush. And if I don't know what I'm going to be wearing, I would just put on something neutral like the blush I put on today. Because I have silver here and on my necklace, I will be putting on a cool toned highlighter. So I'm going to be using the Makeup Revolution's Cheek Kit Take a Breather, and it looks like this. And I'm using this white color right here. And I'm taking a big fluffy brush and I'm taking a smaller eyeshadow brush like this one for the more detailed areas, and you will tell which one I'm using at what area. But before we put on with a brush, I would like to take my finger and just get it in there and put some on my eyelid. The next thing that I like to do, and I like to do this but regardless of having warm or cool toned accessories, is that I take the Strobe of Genius Illuminating Palette from NYX that looks like this, and I'm taking this purple color right here. I'm taking a tiny brush like this one, and I'm just getting that in the inner corners of my eyes and tip of my nose. The next thing I do is my lips, and for that I use, these are a few years old, so if these colors are no longer in store, I'm sorry, but I don't live near one of these stores anymore, so I can't update them. What I have is the Kiko Milano's 303 in this shade right here as my lip liner, and I will put that on. And I like to overline my upper lip just a little bit. I like to follow the white line that I have right here, and that's it. That's like the overlining that I do. Then I'm taking the Flormar's Revolution Perfect Lipstick in the shade R05 on Rose Frontier, and it has this shade right here. And then we finish off with setting spray. So I am taking the Makeup Revolution Sport Fix that looks like this, and I'm setting my face. And I like to dab in afterwards, and depending on how much setting spray I put on, I either wait or I do it right away, because if you have too much setting spray on and it's too wet, dabbing it will remove the makeup, so be careful with that. And so that is my everyday makeup routine that ends up looking like this. Now, I do realize that this routine does not fit most people because you have a schedule and you have a life, and maybe you're not even that invested in the time you want to have doing your makeup, or the effort it takes to doing your makeup and the time. Now, for me, I like to work with my makeup around my schedules, and makeup is something that I enjoy doing, so I like to take my time with it. And with that, I want to say thank you so much for watching, and if you liked the video, then leave a like and a comment down below. And if you want more videos like this, then hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you will be notified when I upload a video. I upload my Makeup Wednesday videos every Wednesday at 7 o'clock Norwegian time, which makes it about 2 o'clock New York time. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!